Today is Friday, June 12th, is it? Yeah, I think that's right. I don't know what day it is. Since I've been gone so much lately, I'm having kind of a hard time keeping up with what day it is. But I thought I would do a garden update for the week and show you what I'm doing and what's happening. So let me turn the camera around and give you a glimpse. So let's begin over here. I'm wondering if my blueberries are ever going to grow. There's 3 of them. There's the other one. And they're so tiny. The soil I know is good. So I don't know what the problem is. There's the chickens, and you can see that the elephant ears have really shot up, and the canna lilies, and this perilla, which is nice because it grows up and covers up the, ugliness of the chicken yard. So you can see the muscadines and that big tall tomato back there. So on the outside here is a variety of tomato called Floridade. These are supposed to be really good for hot, humid climate. You can see I got a nice fruit set there. There's another cluster. There's several blooms. So I have quite a few. So along this outside fence here, I have 6 cages with the Floridade. I got a nice supply of green fruits coming along. And down under I have 4 o'clocks, which I'm going to have to thin those out. There's a lovely dill. And my cleome is blooming. It dropped seed and sent up some new pretty flowers. There's another dill behind there. And here's a zinnia coming on. And over here is a zinnia blooming. Pretty. So check out the grapes. Loads of pretty grapes. And underneath it is zinnias, more cleome. Here's a little tomato I transplanted out of the compost. So I think it's a cherry, we'll see. And then my fall mums, they all bloomed. And there's a beautiful gladiola. Look at the grapes going up over the arbor there. And all that fruit hanging down. That's going to be so beautiful when they turn purple. The roses are sending out some new buds. We'll have some new rose blooms very soon. And glory of glories, the stargazer lily has begun to bloom, and judging by the number of blooms, it's going to make quite a show. And it smells wonderful. Those blooms are giant. Let me put my hand up here. See how big they are? Wowza. My turmeric is growing, which is wonderful. I thinned it out last year, so there's not so many stalks this year. And look at that borage. It has shot up and has these tiny little diminutive blooms, but you can candy the flowers and eat them. You can put the leaves in salads and drinks. It's supposed to be very nutritious and good for you. And my hope is that it would attract some bees. I see so few bees around here that it's really alarming. So the strawberries continue to do well and put out runners. Little marigold is blooming. And the tansy has shot up with all the rain that we've had. And as I scan across the strawberries, you can see that there are some blooms. I'm going to go ahead and pinch those off. There's a weed. Can't remember the name of this weed. Partridge pea or something. Gripe weed. I think it's called that because it'll make you gripe. Because there's so many of them. Once they start coming, they'll be everywhere. Dead raspberry. A couple of marigolds. So there's the leek flowers. So ginormous. And I'm just going to leave those this year and let them multiply. Here's a raspberry that lived. What? Oh, look. There's raspberries. Oh, crazy. I'm going to leave those and let Serenity have them. She loves them so much. There's another gladiola with the big tall bloom that's about to break forth. I have a bouquet inside. Oh, this is all weeds. That's actually trumpet vine, I think, but it's so invasive that I'm going to have to cut that back. And this raspberry is still alive, though it's not looking really good. The top part died, but it looks like it may spring forth with some new growth. That's great. The fig tree, just as I said, would send out a flush of new growth of figs, and it is just covered. I may actually be able to dry some figs, make some fig preserves this year. My herb garden is just looking really lush and rather overgrown, but that's okay for a while. I'll do some work out here one cool evening. My bay tree is also reaching for the sky. Oh, and here is my morning glory that I've transplanted, grew from seed from last year. So hopefully we'll start having some morning glory blooms soon. The cornflowers all got heavy laden with the rain and fell over. And they're not very pretty looking. I mean, the flowers are beautiful. Cornflowers, but that's a seed pod, so I'm just giving it a little bit more time to dry. Like right here's another one, so that I can save some seeds for next year. Cornflower. The blue is the traditional cornflower. So there's mums, fall mums. They grew tall and thin and heavy with blooms and fell over in the rain. The pansies need to be deadheaded, but they continue to go. And look at this, the little soybeans that I got from Mississippi. See the little soybean babies? I just did that for fun. Stuck them over here to see what they would do. So that's kind of neat. More cleome. Here the four o'clocks have bloomed, but the blooms are all closed for the day. They'll probably open up this evening. Another mum. Crazy. Pansies, they're starting to look a little faint. Another mum. And a beautiful zinnia. And an airplane flying overhead. I don't think I had shown my American beautyberry. I pulled this out of the woods in Mississippi, and it did take root. I transplanted it. This is its second year. You can see it's going to flower, and then it'll have those beautiful berries on it. All right, let's go to the garden. Look at all those ants. Okay, this certainly looks different than from 2 to 3 weeks ago whenever I did my collab. I harvested, I don't know if you remember, but there was lettuce, and this row was carrots, cauliflower, beets, and then potatoes. I told you I was going to harvest all that, and I did, and I sowed corn. So I have here North Georgia Dent Corn sowed the old-fashioned way, with the hills so many feet apart. And I'm doing 3 sisters. I've already planted my pumpkin and squash plants in between. So you can see they're not between every one, but like every 2 to 3. I've got watermelon, cantaloupe, zucchini, spaghetti squash, yellow squash, a Seminole that Struggleville Acres shared seeds with me. I have, I think, 4 of those out here. But anyway, 3 sisters gardening. That's what's happening here. On my back fence, just like last year, I sowed a case knife bean. This was bean seed that was shared to me from Seed Savers Exchange, so I will grow them and describe them for their members catalog. Swiss chard is still holding on, and you can see people grow it as a substitute for spinach because the spinach can't take the heat, but the chard can take the heat a little better. So this row is, I got my shovel because there's actually little bitty potatoes on the edge of this row, and then down at the end of the row you see big potatoes. So I have got to dig those today, and in its place I'm going to be transplanting okra. Oop, there goes a lizard. The children have been harvesting the kale pretty frequently. I've harvested almost all the cabbages. I got this one big one left. It's a little bit of a later variety, so it's got a ways to go. But this old farmer taught me a trick that if you crisscross the stump when you harvest the head, that it'll make 4 tiny heads, and you can see there that that's what this one is attempting to do. Kind of like giant Brussels sprouts or baby cabbages. So we'll see how that goes. My peppers have really perked up since I fertilized with the shrimp fertilizer. That's a bell pepper there. And then this one's looking kind of spindly. That's because it broke. It's gonna die. This one is the college pepper. Again, a Seed Savers Exchange variety. And then down here, the 3 little spindly ones, that's the chiltepin or the buckshot pepper that I'm growing just for curiosity. You see my big onions, they're blooming and laid over. Those also need to be pulled out and dried. But the problem is it's just been raining all the time. So I'll probably wait a few more days on that. The garlic you can see is turning brown and even falling over. This needs to be dug. So digging this, and I'm gonna plant, I don't know what, maybe cowpeas. Speaking of cowpeas, that's my yard-long bean teepee. You can see the little blossoms there, right there. There's, and see, look, little beans. You see that? Little baby beans. So these will cross. Oh, look it. There's a big one. Oh my goodness. Heavens to Betsy, I didn't even notice these prior. There's not baby beans. Look at that. Oh my. That's pretty cool now. So I'm just doing this to save seeds this year. I'll let these dry, and as soon as they do, I will pull these out and sow my heirloom Martin cowpeas. because yard-long bean is a cowpea and it will cross. There's more babies. Cool. All right, so I have these Borage tomatoes. Let's see. You can see that they're ruffled, so that's rather unique. This is again another variety that I'm growing for Seed Savers Exchange. So I have no idea what it is I'm growing, but they're looking really good. Here's some over here. Look how big and beautiful they are. That's a nice fruit set there. Usually the ugly, gnarled fruit are some of the better tasting ones. Here's more. Can you see back there? More fruit. So I'll do my usual panorama. Oh, it's so hot out here today. I'm sweating. So though I need to dig potatoes, and I also need to plant bean seeds next to my corn plants. That's what makes it Three Sisters: corn, beans, and squash. So I'll come out here this evening when it's a little cooler and work on that and dig potatoes, transplant okra, and that'll be enough work for a few days. So until next week, thanks for watching.